And we're live on the Lindsey Beckham Show in the lovely Cotton Exchange Plaza in Flora, Mississippi. Waiting out the storm. It looks like everybody is not, I guess, eagerly anticipating the winter storm that's headed our way or most of the southeast of the United States way this weekend. I keep checking. I keep like refreshing the forecast every 5 minutes. I think everybody else is doing that too. Sometimes it'll say it's headed in our direction, and sometimes it's going to say that it is going to go a little north. So we'll see. And everybody just keep be safe. Make sure you got some groceries. I hope you got some. I guess everybody's buying bread and toilet paper again. That seems to be the pattern when there's some kind of natural disaster headed our way. I did. Luckily, I decided I was like I need to get some groceries. So what do I do right now? And I'm like, oh wait, I got Instacart. So I Instacarted. My Instacart driver must have been pretty mad though because it was like cases of bottled water and bread. I don't think I had toilet paper, so I was okay. But everybody just batten down and be safe this weekend. It's going to be cold. It's going to be icy, and try not to drive. But we're on the Lindsey Beckham Show. I am not Lindsey Beckham. I'm Sean Yurtkaran, and Lindsey will be here shortly. She is having some sort of car issue or late issue or whatever issue she has that requires her to be late. And it's a running joke with me all the time is where I'm never late, but Lindsay is always going to have me late at some certain point in time. So we're just waiting on her. What we're going to discuss today, and I put this out on Facebook earlier, is the ongoing scandal with Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens and former Mayor of Jackson Chokwe Lumumba regarding the infamous yacht party, which we all know about when Chokwe and Jody went down to Miami and were given, alcohol and strippers and all the good stuff that they enjoyed there in Miami. And the most good stuff was bribes that they took or handed out in exchange for a real estate deal regarding the Jackson Convention Center Hotel that has been obviously, if you're from Jackson, that's been a project people have talked about since the convention center has been built. No one's done it for obvious reasons, and these two geniuses decided to get involved in a FBI sting that was regarding that hotel, so they can make big money, and didn't work out so well for them. This last week, we've seen a new motion filed by the district attorney, which was a motion regarding a defense called entrapment, which entrapment essentially is you're admitting that you committed the crime, but you're saying the government made me do it. It's kind of like the kid argument, like you get kids and the kid's like, oh, I did it, but my brother made me do it. He made me do it. It's his fault. I did it, but I was forced to do it. So that's what the district attorney Jody Owens has filed that defense in federal court in front of federal district judge Dan Jordan, and he is asking the court to throw out the case based on two things. One's called government outrageous conduct and entrapment. Now, entrapment is kind of like a two-pronged test. And what that means is you have to prove that the government coerced you into committing a crime, not that they simply gave you an opportunity to commit a crime, but that they coerced you into that crime. And then the second prong is you have to have been predisposed to commit the crime. And what that means is that you're basically a criminal kind of guy. And I'll give you an example. You've probably seen the articles about Chokwe Lumumba allegedly dealing with all the drug dealers and all the rumors we've heard, but now we've seen it in FBI narratives. That's where the FBI could say with Chokwe that they would have predisposition because there's a lot of alleged evidence that he was having dealings with the dope boys, as Kenneth Stokes would like to say, element of the city of Jackson. And so they would use that. Now, Mr. Owens, the district attorney, is saying that the FBI does not have any predisposition for him based upon these things, that he has not ever acted as a criminal in his life. He's been an upstanding citizen. He's married to a doctor. He's a good family man. He's a member or was a former member of the military, and that the FBI, and so he had no predisposition to be a criminal. This is the first time, which if you look at all the stuff that we've seen, especially in the indictment, the statements that the attorney has made, it's kind of hard to believe that concerning the things that he said. And if y'all recall, and I'm paraphrasing, most of those things were like, I'm a whole DA. I buy the P word. I buy cows. I buy cars. He was talking about, I believe it was washing dope money through the DA's office. I think something about fixing cases. So there are a lot of things that he said to the FBI undercover agents that would give rise to you to believe that he had been engaged in criminal activity in the past. Now, his argument is that, well, these are statements that were made after the sting had gone on, after they had coerced me into the crime, not knowing that I had any predisposition to commit it. So that disposition, excuse me, shows up post the sting. And that's what I guess he would say in that regards. But to me, what I believe is when he puts on this kind of evidence, the government is going to put on evidence that of his predisposition that they have not disclosed yet, that was not going to be admissible in any trial prior to this, but that I assume the FBI has, and they just haven't told him about yet because it's not stuff that they would have to disclose when and prior because it wasn't going to be admissible evidence anyway. But now it makes it admissible, and that's what I kind of foresee with this. It's he is now he of course is trying to do this just in front of the judge, not in front of the jury yet. That's going to come later. So he's going to put this evidence in front of Judge Jordan and say, throw this case out. I looked at the statistics on that. It happens about 5% of the time. It's a very low statistic that'll happen. Most of the time, the judge is going to he's going to say, give it to the jury. So he's going to have to argue all this crap in front of the jury. And the jury in the Southern District of Mississippi in federal court is not just a Hinds County jury. It's not pulled just from Hinds County. It's pulled from a lot of places: Scott County, Neshoba County, Smith County, Yazoo County. There's a Rankin County, I believe, is in there. Madison. There's several counties in that district. All the jurors are going to come from there, so it's not going to be just Hinds County. And he's going to have to make this argument of they entrapped me. And what he says is the way they did that was they got him drunk. They got him drunkety drunk, and then he committed bribery. I mean, basically is what he did, or allegedly committed bribery by getting super drunk. Now, the question I have to that is, so if you agreed to go into a bribery scheme with these undercover FBI agents and you were drunk while you're doing it, we've seen the photographs he put out there. He's like almost passed out. The FBI agents got a huge frat boy fridge full of liquor and high noons, which come on, feds, high noons for real? What is that? Anyway, they've got all this liquor in the super fridge and they're getting him drunk in Nashville. They take him to Miami on a yacht. They're getting him drunk, and he's agreeing to do this stuff while he's drunk. But I assume that he's not drunk all the time. So he is, excuse me, he's committing crimes while he's sober. And I don't know how you make that argument. I think that's kind of a problem. Excuse me. So at some point, he is not drunk. He's allegedly committing bribery while he is sober. And I think he's going to have to explain that. Like, hey, dude, you're not drunk anymore. You can kind of stop this this criminal action. But he doesn't do that. He continues the thing. He allegedly sets it all up. He creates these, either they're shell corporations or other companies he uses to funnel 5 checks to Chokwe Lumumba. And he spreads the money around, and this scheme goes on for a while. So I'm assuming he is not drinking during this entire time. The other issue that I'm raised, and I was talking to WLBT, and I did an interview this week about it, was now the district attorney of Hinds County has said that he is an alcoholic in a federal court filing. And I do wonder if the Mississippi bar, if this is time for them to get involved in this right now. I know there's a joke around a lot of people in the community, especially lawyers, that the bar doesn't really do a whole lot, but they do have something called the Lawyers and Judges Assistance Program. And what that is a program to help lawyers or judges that are, have substance abuse problems, because lawyers are considered to be one of the highest substance abuse problem professions there is, which I can totally understand that. So I think that the bar needs to step in now that he's admitted that in a federal court filing that he is that he's got an alcohol problem. And I don't know how they don't, because now what you do is you've got the district attorney who's saying, I'm an alcoholic. The FBI took advantage of my alcohol problem that they knew about. But how do you function as district attorney if you're an alcoholic? It seems like that's going to be kind of a problem to me, that you couldn't function in that capacity, which is a very serious job. I worked as an assistant district attorney for 10 years. I mean, you make serious decisions all the time. and you really can't be. You can be drunk after hours, and in my younger days, I quite frequently was. Unfortunately, not these days at 46, but you know, you can't sit there and be drink if you're an alcoholic. I assume you're drinking during the day because you need it, and I don't know how you function at your job while drunk. Now, so I think this is, if any time for the bar to step in for the safety of the citizens of Hinds County, this is a time because you don't want somebody that's now admitted in a federal court filing that they are an alcoholic. So I hope that something will arise from that, and we'll see here shortly. I'm skeptical that it will, but you never know. And we have about 7 months to the trial, so so we'll see. We'll see what happens between then and there. But that's what he's going with, y'all. But he's going with, I got drunk. The FBI got me drunk, and they coerced me into doing this, and I was not predisposed to commit this crime. Now, I think to most of us that sounds absolutely ridiculous. It sounds nuts. It's like I got drunk and I committed a crime. Like that's it. That actually is in law school. They teach you that voluntary intoxication is not a defense to any crime. It's not. It's not a defense to any crime. You can't just say I got drunk and I committed a crime. But that's part of what he's saying here. And he's also again leaving out the times when he was sober doing it. So I think it's pretty obvious that this defense is going to fail. Now, what I think he's going to do, and I made this is what the kind of the show is going to be about today, especially once Lizzie gets here, is about. I think he is trying to play the O.J. Simpson game, and what I mean by that is that he's trying to bias the potential jurors out there in the counties. That this was basically a racially motivated prosecution, which is kind of funny considering it was the Joe Biden Justice Department that investigated him and indicted him. I think he's going to say that. I think it's he's trying to put that out there that the FBI is corrupt, which a lot of people do buy these days on both sides of the aisle. If I'm sure all of y'all that listen to this station are following the news. You get many people on the right that hate the FBI or did, and maybe they like them more now that Kash Patel, and all his wisdom is in charge. But so the FBI's got some, I guess, skepticism behind them. He's trying to play on that. He's saying that the cops are corrupt. That's what OJ's defense team did in Los Angeles back in the early to mid 90s. They put the LAPD on trial. It wasn't the evidence against OJ. The evidence against OJ was overwhelming that he did it. And I think now we're looking like 30 years later, more than 30 years later, that, obviously he was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But what beat the state of California was that they put the Los Angeles Police Department on trial, and that was who was on trial during that case. And I think District Attorney Owens is trying to do that. He's trying to put the FBI on trial. The FBI targeted me. They took advantage of me. They got me drunk. They pushed me into this crime. And no time do you hear, I didn't do it. He's saying he did it. I mean, that's what you have to do in an entrapment defense. You have to say, I did this. I'm guilty. He is saying that, but they're the ones who forced me. They're corrupt. They unfairly targeted me. They shouldn't have done that. And essentially, this was and the implication is that this was a racially motivated thing for them to do. He's a black elected official. He mentions that in his motion. He mentions that about former Mayor Chokwe Lumumba, that he's a black elected official, and the FBI went after them. So he's trying to poison the jury pool. And I think what he wants to do is at least get one person to buy it. And then he maybe can get a hung jury, what's called a hung jury. Not everybody votes to find him guilty, because I don't see that there's any way that there's going to be 12 people that are going to buy this crap story. I just don't see it. But I'll get back to that on the next segment of the Lindsey Beckham Show, and maybe her car will work and she will arrive, and we'll talk some more about this. See y'all then. See y'all then.
1039 WYAB. Pure Air Consultants offers services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and cleaned to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us at our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
Get ready, Louisiana. Johnny's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our Sweet the Swamp Pizza. Back with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crab, andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun flip or dive into a Sweet the Swamp Pizza bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Johnny's Pizza House.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Why don't you mind your own business?
Mind my own business? What's that supposed to mean?
No, I was just thinking about all of the news of tax changes, insurance changes, regulations that are being passed down to business owners. I don't have the time to keep growing and to keep up with changing payroll regulations.
I know. It seems like all I do is handle employee-related problems.
You know, I hear People Lease can help.
How can they help?
People Lease can handle our payroll, taxes, employee benefits, and workers' compensation. They even offer an affordable and customizable 401k program and a 24/7 online human resources support center for all my HR needs.
Think of all the time we'll save letting People Lease handle our payroll and benefits administration. I'll be busy growing my business and letting People Lease take care of the rest.
Sounds like a good business plan with People Lease.
Let People Lease mind your business so you can mind your own business. Call now, 601-987-3025. That's 601-987-3025. Or visit freepayrollquotes.com for your free quote.
Attention homeowners and business owners. Complete Exteriors is now Elite Roofing and Gutters. Are your roof and gutters storm ready? The folks at Elite are your local experts in storm protection. Now is the time for an inspection and for proactive solutions that ensure your roof and gutters can withstand any storm. Get up to a possible $250 rebate on a new roofing system for all active military, veterans, and retirees. Online at eliteroofer.com.
Getting a new prescription filled in your eyeglasses may not get rid of your headaches. It may not be the prescription at all. If your eyeglasses are not custom fit and properly adjusted to you, that could be the source of your headaches. At Eye Gear Optical, we verify the prescription in your lenses and the custom fitting of your frames to ensure you have the most comfortable and visually accurate eyeglasses every time. We fit eyeglasses to you, your lifestyle, and your budget. Eye Gear Optical, 2630 Highway 80 East in Pearl, and eyegearoptical.com.
At Bank of Yazoo, we believe that common sense makes for better banking. That's why we've taken our array of checking accounts and simplified them for you, boiling down features and benefits to create our new you, achieve you, benefit you.
And we're back on the Lindsay Beckham Show here from the lovely Men's Health and Women's Wellness Studios in Flora, Mississippi. I think Lindsay has told me a million times they're going to change their name to like MVP. I don't know what it is. I need to text you, Dr. Walker, and ask, but that's great. They're a great business. You guys need to check them out over there in Madison on Fountains Boulevard Drive, something like that. Anyway, I go there. It's a great place. Dr. Walker's a great guy. They provide a great service, so go check them out every chance you get. We were discussing the Jody Owens entrapment and outrageous government conduct motion that he filed about a week ago. This week, Anthony Warren from WLBT called me up for an interview, and you can see that article from, I think it's like from yesterday or the day before. And we discussed what I thought were what was the validity of his defense. And he also interviewed law professor Matthew Steffi over at the Mississippi College School of Law. And actually, me and Professor Steffi, for the first time probably ever, were in agreement, complete agreement, that this was a completely bogus defense and that he was kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what could stick. My thought process on a lot of this is that he is, and I was saying this last segment, playing the OJ strategy And what that is that the cops are corrupt, the system is racist, the prosecution is lying to you, and that the government essentially framed him. And if y'all are old like me in your 40s or 50s or whatever, and you remember that case, I remember I was in high school when that was going on. That was the whole thing. It was the government people had set OJ up. They wanted to get OJ because he was a beloved sports figure. I mean, OJ was it's hard for us now to know 30 years later, remember that, especially people younger, but OJ was a very, very beloved guy. And he, I mean, even the cops loved him. Like it was, I mean, some of the cops testified, I think it actually, been into his house, been to some birthday parties and that sort of thing. So it was, people didn't want to initially believe that OJ did it, obviously, but then there was a racial split. So most white people believed that he did do it as the trial went on, and then black people did not. And there was a history of the Los Angeles Police Department, a true history, by the way, committing many, many racist actions over the years, culminating in of course, the Rodney King incident and the subsequent acquittal of the officers involved in that beating incident, which of course started the Los Angeles riots, which only happened a few years before the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. And so the city was kind of just at this boiling point of racial tensions due to that. And you also had Gil Garcetti, who was the district attorney of Los Angeles at that time. They just witnessed the LA riots. They had just lost the first Menendez trial, so they were already looking kind of bad because of that. And his idea at the time was to try the case with a downtown jury, one that was going to be significantly more African American than one in Brentwood, where the murders happened and where OJ lived. Now, that's called a venue issue. And it would have been proper in Brentwood. They could have tried that. It would have been a primarily white upper class jury that probably would have convicted OJ Simpson. And Garcetti had the right to do that, but he was concerned because of what had happened previously with the acquittal of the police officers, as well as the riots, that he was better off from a political point of view trying OJ with a downtown jury. Now, of course, we also what happened. OJ was acquitted, and that was all based on the trial strategy of his, of course, infamous Dream Team defense team that used, again, race and used that he was framed, that this was all a setup, and it worked. It totally worked. They were brilliant lawyers, just did an amazing job. I've probably read about every book or article or seen every movie, listened to every podcast on the subject, and the things they did, the strategy they had was incredible. It was an incredible strategy from, of course, now we all look at it, justice was not served. If you're the victims' families, it's horrible. But by me looking at it as a professional, it's pretty, it was pretty brilliant, and it worked. And I think what you're seeing with the district attorney here, he's trying to do the same thing. The problem is it's not going to work here because it's not the same facts. Here we've got the district attorney is a public official. OJ wasn't. He was a sports figure, a very famous, loved sports figure. He killed somebody, but he didn't, it wasn't about public corruption. It was about murder, two different things. And the circumstances in Los Angeles at that in the early 1990s were far different than they are today with Jackson. I mean, Jackson is a city with an extremely high crime problem. I think we're still the per capita murder capital of the country. And being district attorney of Hinds County is a very serious position that you have to be on your A game to do it, because you are in one of the most violent cities of America. I know that because I worked there for 10 years for another district attorney who also did not take his job very seriously, unfortunately. It just seems to be a pattern. And the people that are going to be on that jury are not going to have the same kind of dynamics or racial dynamics as what happened in Los Angeles in the 90s. Here, you're going to have jurors from Hinds County, Madison County, Rankin County, Scott County, Smith County, Neshoba County, all over the places, because it's a federal jury. It's not a county jury. This is not a state court, circuit court case. So you're going to have a mix of people. The best hope I think the DA is looking for here, or maybe he's not, but this is what I would think if we were going through this strategy, is that he's going to get one juror to buy this entrapment argument, that the FBI was targeting him. They got him drunk. and they coerced him into committing this crime that he normally would never have committed before. So I think he's gonna hope, his best hope is that one juror does that. They sit on the jury of 12 people and they hang it up. And if they hang it up, maybe the government won't try it, which is possible because the Trump administration, particularly the president, does not like cases like this. That is just true. You can look at the statements he's made. He pardoned a councilman, a white councilman who was a Democrat in Cincinnati, I think sometime last year, on pretty much the same facts. It was, I think, the same FBI sting or a very similar one, and he pardoned the guy. And so this is not something the Trump administration necessarily likes. So could if they hang the jury up, and could Trump tell them, or the DOJ say, "Hey, look, you're not going to prosecute it again"? Yeah, I think that's possible. I think that could happen if it's a hung jury. So maybe that's what the district attorney is shooting for here. I tell you what, that's a heck of a bet. I don't know that I'd be willing to risk many, many years of my life in federal prison based upon that assumption. And I, not that I'm put out a statistical poll or anything, but if you want to go to the WLBT Facebook page, which again, of course, is not scientific, but you can look at the comments. There's hundreds of them on every article about this ridiculous defense. And it comes from, it's cross-racial, it's black and white folks all ripping him to shreds over it. And I don't know what they were thinking by doing this. I think it's made him look worse than he did previously, if that's possible. I think it made him look far worse in the public's eyes. I think he was hoping for an OJ situation, but didn't realize that he's not OJ and that his lawyer is not Johnny Cochran. And this strategy was just very ill thought out. His at this point, his best hope is going to be that 5% chance that Judge Jordan is going to say, okay, the FBI did target you. Now, he puts in his motion that the FBI lied to the grand jury, saying they weren't investigating him. And I thought about that, and I was talking to somebody about it this morning. And the FBI investigating and getting information on somebody are two very different things. I've unfortunately been interviewed by the FBI in the past, and it's not a fun thing to do. Let me tell you, it's not a fun experience. But just because that happened didn't mean they were investigating me. I knew who they were investigating at the time. It was the former district attorney, Robert Smith. But the way I look at this case is the FBI was investigating a lot of people in Jackson, primarily the mayor of Jackson, Chokwe Lumumba, as we all know. Now, just because they asked people about the district attorney, that's part of their job when they're information collecting. That doesn't mean they have an active investigation trying to get you. But that's the assumption that he's making, is that they had an active investigation. To me, it looks more like they were asking questions because, unfortunately, the DA of Hinds County has been a position that has been notoriously corrupt for the last 50 or 60 years, excluding Faye Peterson. There's been rumors about, well, we know what happened with Ed Peters and Bobby DeLauder. We know, saw what happened to my former boss, Robert Schuler Smith, and now Jody Owens. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm the FBI, I'm like, yeah, maybe the Hinds County DA there's a good chance that they could be corrupt. And we're going to ask questions. That's our job. But did they have an active investigation? I think that's a different story altogether. I don't know that they did, or there's been straight evidence that they did. But the district attorney's assuming that they did. And he's saying that they did that. They targeted him and they got him drunk. And he wants the public to feel bad for him. But I got this crazy idea. How about say no? Say no. Like, I don't know. You know what? I might have had a few Johnny Walker Blacks, but I do not want to bribe public officials. That's bad. And by the way, check this out. I'm the DA. Like, you're not talking to like some councilman or some bureaucrat. You're talking to the district attorney. Like that. I mean, you would think when you're the district attorney, you would sit there and say, hey, you know what? This is crime, and I'm supposed to be the guy that fights crime. So no, it's insane. And I kind of hope that he puts this in front of the jury, because it's going to be comical, and it's going to be something, especially being in the media business like we are here at WYAB. It's going to be fun for us and fun for everybody, but not fun for the city of Jackson. And I'll continue this discussion on the next segment of the Lindsey Beckham Show. Y'all stay tuned.
.1039 WYAB. Pure Air Consultants offers services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and cleaned to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us on our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
Get ready, Louisiana! Jody's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our sweet the swamp pizza. Back with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crab, and doing sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun flip or dive into a sweet the swamp pizza bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Jody's Pizza House.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Pack up the kiddos, hop in the car. It's a sweet little getaway, it's not too far.
For candy, chocolate, sweets, and treats. Smiles from the door to the back row seats.
Hey! Mississippi Candy Company. Bringing kids and the memories.
Grandma, Grandpa, come and see. It's an excellent trip for the whole family. Down D's Drive-In Gluckstadt. Mississippi Candy Company.
That's where it's at.
Hey, kids, ask your parents and grandparents to go right now.
Get ready, Louisiana! Jody's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our sweet the swamp pizza. Back with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crab, and doing sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun flip or dive into a sweet the swamp pizza bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Jody's Pizza House.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com.
It can be hard to move past the guilt, times of weakness and regret, knowing you weren't there for your family when they needed you the most. But there is life after addiction. We're seeing broken families restored, one man at a time, through our vehicle, cash, and thrift store donations. It's given Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge the ability to help these men succeed in having better lives. Donate a vehicle, running or not, and we'll come pick it up. Call today, 601-572-7296, or visit us at vehicledonationsms.com.
This is Jack Hoffman. For nearly 31 years, Tico's Steakhouse has been a staple of fine dining in Jackson, Mississippi. Dad has long since desired me to come work alongside him. And now that I'm here, I would like to invite you to come experience our family tradition of our hospitality, sizzling steaks, and healthy poured beverages.
This is a test of the emergency alert system. If this had been an actual emergency, official messages would have followed the alert tone. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system.
Well, it looks like we had an emergency test, which is probably a good thing, given the upcoming winter storm, which I hope everybody is safe during that. We're back on the Lindsay Beckham show. Lindsay just texted me and said that she is going to be unable to make it. So I'm sorry, folks, you will not be able to hear about school choice or vaccines for the rest of the hour. We're going to talk about the district attorney and as well as the Ted DiBiase trial, which I am excited. There may be something to do with vaccines in there, right, Lindsay? I'm not sure. School choice. I'll try to find something for you because we can't leave a show out without that for sure, y'all. Anyway, I was discussing the district attorney's strategy in this case being analogous to what the O.J. Simpson defense team tried in the early 1990s that was successful in getting him a not guilty verdict, and by putting the LA Police Department on trial and creating the racial dynamic that allowed Mr. Simpson to walk free when he was obviously guilty of the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, unfortunately for their families. And they did that by, like I said, by putting the police on trial, by making it seem like LAPD did have a lot of racist actions over the years, but this was not one of them. This is one where the guy actually did it. And they did that, and they created reasonable doubt, and their jurors were only out for, I believe, like 3 hours, and that trial lasted months. So they assumed the jury was going to be out for weeks, but they were not. It was a very quick verdict. They were ready to get home. I've seen that myself. I tried a case one time for about 3 weeks, the death penalty case, and the guilty verdict took longer than the death verdict, because in a death penalty case, there's a 2-phase trial. You have the guilt phase, and then they come back, they deliberate to find him guilty. And then you have kind of another mini trial, which is the death phase. And you put on a lot of the evidence again, arguing for, the death penalty, or he can also get life without parole. And they came back with the death verdict on this man. He killed a elderly woman in Clinton, Mississippi back in 2010. And they came back with that like in 45 minutes. So you never know with juries what they're going to do. Sometimes they have their mind made up through the entire trial, which I believe that a lot of I'd say 75% of the time that's probably true. Of course, there's times where the jury gets hung up or whatnot, so it can be different. But a lot of times you can kind of feel it out. They've made their mind up. Now you can't always fill out which way it's going. And I was telling Lindsay was trying a capital murder case with me last February, almost a year ago, where I was defending a man. And she was saying, like, well, do you know what's your feeling? I said, I've been doing this for 20 years. And one thing I've learned is that I never know what they're going to do. You just don't. It's hard to predict what 12 people are going to do when they get back there in that room. I always say it's hard enough to get 3 people to agree where to go to lunch. So imagine getting 12 people to agree on all the evidence and to find somebody guilty in a criminal case. It's very hard. And I know people think, well, the state has all the deck stacked against the defendants, and yeah, that's true. But you still have to get those people to agree, and that's not an easy thing to do. And it wasn't for the district attorney's office in Los Angeles, where they had an overwhelming amount of evidence, but they had to fight this narrative that was being portrayed in the media and in the courtroom about the incompetence and racism of LAPD, which was given a lot of assists. I mean, if you guys remember the Mark Furman tapes where he had gone on the stand and initially and had said that, he never said any racist stuff. And then F. Lee Bailey actually found some tapes where he had, used the N-word, used other racial expletives, and went to, I believe, North Carolina to retrieve them and had to do a court hearing out there, got those. They called Furman back to the stand. And I think, if I remember correctly, he took the Fifth Amendment. So, I mean, you're taking the Fifth Amendment and the jury's like, yeah, I think we know what's going on here. So right there, that created reasonable doubt that Furman could have planted the bloody glove or whatever. And that's the standard that, the state is held to. And I'm glad, and that's what they should be held to. They need to prove cases beyond a reasonable doubt. But that created reasonable doubt in the minds of the OJ jury, and among several other things. Of course, that stupid incident when Chris Darden made him try on the glove was idiotic, and that that didn't help him either. So there was a lot of things in that case that were in OJ's favor and that worked out to him getting a not guilty verdict. And this is what Jody's trying to do that in this case. He's trying to make the FBI seem corrupt, racist, and they're going after a powerful black man in office, even though This was an investigation started by the Joe Biden Justice Department, signed off by the Joe Biden Justice Department and Merrick Garland, and indicted while Joe Biden was still president. So I really think that angle's quite absurd. But maybe he's thinking most of the public doesn't understand that and know that, so they'll buy it. I don't think they're going to. I think that most and everybody I've talked to, whether they're black or white, have kind of admitted that this sounds insane. So I don't think that's the way it's going. But as I was saying last segment, he can maybe hope to have one juror hang it up, and then the government doesn't retry it because the Trump Justice Department thinks that the case is that thinks that that they don't want to go forward with this kind of case because President Trump doesn't like them. Like I was saying about the councilman in Cincinnati that he pardoned on the facts that are almost identical. If you want to look it up to this, it was like a real estate developer scam that they had run, and he pardoned a Democrat who he said doesn't like that. And I've talked to friends at DOJ and who've said that the president just does not like these cases that are set up. Like he does not, that's not something he's into, that like they're making up crimes. And he's not particularly a fan of that. So, Jody could be hoping for that. And if you look in his motion, and you'll see that on Kingfish's site, on WLBT, he mentions the Trump documents case. And it's not part of the entrapment defense that he's having, but it's a part of like what's called a speaking indictment. And a speaking indictment is like you're putting evidence in the indictment more than you should. You're just supposed to basically state what the charge is in the indictment. You're not supposed to like put all this narrative. And that's kind of what the federal government, they did do that now. Because when I read that indictment, I talked to a lot of prosecutor friends and we were all like, man, I ain't never seen an indictment that looked like this. So that is accurate. But he made it analogous to the documents case that was dismissed on the Mar-a-Lago infamous documents case, and saying that, this happened to President Trump. I think he's kind of trying to extend an olive branch out to President Trump, saying, hey man, look, you can pardon me. And, if President Trump pardons Jody Owens, don't be shocked, because I could see it. He fits the bill for that kind of guy. He's former military guy. He's the district. He's been tough on crime. I mean, he really has, more than my boss, his predecessor, Robert Schuller Smith. He's hit him hard over there. He's also done some things that I completely disagree with, like the prosecution of Anthony Fox, which is an insane incident that happened to Detective Fox. And Clay has covered that Clay and Teresa Appel have covered that extensively on the show. But so there's some things he's done that have not been good. But all in all, like he is, that office runs a lot more efficiently than it did when I worked there. So there is that part that the president could see. Hey, look, he's a tough on crime law enforcement guy. Then of course there's going to be people that say, well, he's a George Soros or whatever that is, funded district attorney, whatever that the political platitude about Soros is. I mean, so that could happen too. I don't know, but I think he's shooting for it. Don't be shocked if it happens. I mean, I think it's probably like a 3% chance, but it's a possibility. So maybe he's going that way. He's going for one juror, but one thing he is not going for is an outright acquittal. Because that is something that's probably not going to happen. And but we'll see. And everybody stay tuned into it. But I will be back on the next segment of the Lindsey Beckham Show. Segment of the Lindsey Beckham Show.
WYAB.
Efficient and trouble-free payroll processing is crucial to a business's success, and a lot of businesses are struggling with it. PeopleLease, a local payroll provider, not only offers top-of-the-line software, but also provides on-demand payroll support services. With PeopleLease, you're never on your own at every step of your payroll process. PeopleLease has the expertise in managing payroll challenges and will work hard to understand your business and employees. That's what makes PeopleLease the perfect choice for you and your business. Learn more online at peoplelease.com.
Hi, this is Lee Atkins of Home Care Plus in Ridgeland. We are a proud carrier of Abena Premium Incontinence products. Abena has the most absorbency available, making changes and leaks less likely. After 7 years as a seller, I can tell you these products are amazing and worth every penny to quality of life for patient and caregiver. And we ship all incontinence products as well. So please come see us at Home Care Plus in Ridgeland for all the incontinence needs of you or your family member. That's Home Care Plus in Ridgeland.
We all make plans for the future, but car accidents, break-ins, and unexpected fires can disrupt those plans. At Shelter Insurance, our agents help design insurance plans that work for you and help protect what matters most. Shelter Insurance. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Let Shelter be your shield. Come see me, Jamie Creel, 601-992-6000.
When you want your pine trees to grow a little happier and a lot healthier, call on Holcomb Aerial Service. When your crops need dusting, think Holcomb Aerial Service. From the farm to your own pine forest, Holcomb Aerial Service will stimulate growth, eradicate pests, and preserve the value of your crops. Call Holcomb Aerial Service at 601-668-6200. That's 601-668-6200.
Pure Air Consultants offer services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and clean to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us on our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
Grizz Nation, tip off the weekend with a heated NBA divisional rivalry at FedEx Forum in Memphis, when your Memphis Grizzlies host the New Orleans Pelicans on Friday, January 23rd. Get to FedEx Forum and help your Grizzlies defend the home court with tip-off set for 7 p.m. Grab your tickets today at grizzlies.com/tickets or the FedEx Forum box office in Memphis.
Acme Pizza and Daiquiris is leveling up. A whole new Acme Pizza and Daiquiris is now open at the Reservoir at Beethoven's Boardwalk in Ridgeland, right next door to Cock of the Walk. And the new Acme Pizza and Daiquiris will have all of your old favorites too, like the Acme Dynamite Balls and Garlic Knots, and the best specialty pizzas ever, like the Pig, the Sergeant Pepperoni, the Surf and Turf, and lots more. Come to the all-new Acme Pizza and Daiquiris location on the Res in Ridgeland, next door to Cock of the Walk.
Why should you choose Cerami Air Conditioning and Heating for all service or installation? Well, they purchase all parts directly from the manufacturer.
And we're back on the Lindsay Beckham Show here for the last segment from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness Studio at the Cotton Exchange Plaza in lovely Flora, Mississippi. Lindsay, as I said, could not make it. She had some car issues, and so she'll be back next week, where you can tune in and get your school choice and vaccine fix. Don't miss it. She will definitely keep you informed on those two issues, and the legislature apparently is fully engaged in that right now. I know nothing about either one of those issues, so I will not speak on that. Lindsay keeps texting me about school choice. This is happening in like the Senate's meeting. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm not paying attention to that. Clay, I know, talks about it all the time, and I let the two of them just go at it because they're the ones that are informed on this issue. And I've got enough things that I got to pay attention to that don't involve legislation from the Capitol. So you won't hear that here today, but tune in to her next week, because she's going to keep you informed about every one of those things. And I know Clay is as well. Here we were talking about the Jody Owens entrapment motion. I think I've probably beat that dead horse as much as anybody could. I think, again, just to sum it up, I think it's not going to work. And I think it's something we're all going to really get a big laugh out of. So, I say good luck to the federal government here. I think they're doing the right thing. We need to root out public corruption to make our city safe, any city safe. And on a personal note, that office is really important to me. I worked there for 10 years, spent 10 years of my life. That there's a lot of my soul left in that courthouse. And the stories are quite crazy. And, so I really care about it. And I hope they I hope they're successful in rooting out, the corruption. And as my mom, took me to see JFK when I was a little boy, and something I always took from that was let justice be done, though the heavens fall, which means do justice regardless of the consequences. And I think that's what needs to be done here. So good luck to them. There's another big high profile trial going on this week or the last few weeks regarding the TANF scandal, which is the scandal involving Shad White. Well, not involving Shad. Shad was not taking welfare money. He's the one who found out about it and did a good job bringing it to the public's light, involving all the welfare money that was handed out to various sports figures in the state. Which y'all, that's one that's just I'm never going to understand that. I don't care. Like no one just can explain to me how Brett Favre, Ted DiBiase, and Marcus Dupree got money. Like it just by virtue of being a sports figure or being, just how they got in the welfare game. It's just so confusing to me. Like I just, how did all these like I mean, I guess Brett Favre is the most famous of all those folks, but quasi celebrities that somehow dipped their pen in the welfare ink. I don't know, lack of a better way of saying it. I don't know how that happened, but the only defendant in that case to go to trial since that scandal's been uncovered, which I believe was like February of 2020, right before the COVID lockdown started. So about 6 years now, is Ted DiBiase Jr., who is the son of the kind of famous, if you're my age and you were a kid of the 1980s, you remember the $1 Million Man. And he was a famous wrestler in the 80s with Hulk Hogan. And his son, Ted DiBiase Jr., was also a famous wrestler. And he is the only defendant that is caught up in the TANF thing that is going to trial. And I've been watching or reading, following the coverage of it, and some of DiBiase's arguments are not bad. Like it's going to be interesting what the outcome here is. I'd like to know. I mean, because what I can gather is that John Davis, who was the director of DHS at the time, was handing this money out to DiBiase for various programs. And what I'm confused upon, and maybe the federal government's going to put this out there more, did DiBiase do the work on these stuff? Did he complete the work? And to me, it's like, well, if they paid you to do work and you did it, then what's the crime? So, I mean, I guess they're going to flesh that out a little more. But it seems like he might have done like half a work, if you know what I mean. And I think that almost becomes more civil. But like we'll see what that is, because there was just there's some organizations that I know about that they had that were doing work. So I wonder what evidence they have that he wasn't, that he was just basically stealing the money. So we'll see what that comes out. But the news this week, this trial's been going on for about 3 weeks now, was that his lawyer, Scott Gilbert, who Scott's a good lawyer, became ill during the trial, and that he was going to be out for several weeks. And so they asked for a mistrial, and Judge Carlton Reeves considered that for a few days and denied it, saying that, I'm going to continue the trial till the end of February, but I'm not going to declare a mistrial and give you that out. They were trying to say that Mr. Gilbert was the only one that could have handled the defense because he knew the case, which I'm sure he did. He's been involved in it the whole time. There's another lawyer there. I think his name is Eric Hirschman, who was one of Trump's lawyers, who's helping out as well. So he said, I think Judge Reeves said that Hirschman could handle it, and that he was not required to grant a mistrial. The only thing I think about it would be the logistical problem with the jury is now going to go home for like a month. And what do? Well, I imagine they're going to read the paper. I mean, that's just, to be honest, they're going to be ordered not to, but they're going to probably do that. And do they then get biased because of what they've read in the paper? Because they're going to look it up. I mean, that's just what jurors do, y'all. Like they tell them don't look at it, and they look at it. At least that's what I hear. So I don't know if there'll be some new argument raised by the defense, as in if they need to have a mistrial based upon that. But we'll see. And y'all tune in to Lindsay next week. I'll see you.